So, good morning, Brian. Thank you
Hi.
for sharing your experiences with small groups. And I wanted to ask you, how did you get involved in a small group?
Well, about 8 years ago, our son come down with a real rare form of cancer, and we went from hospital to hospital. 22 months later, we found out that hospice would have to be called in. There was nothing more they could do.
Hmm.
And it was rough on my wife, myself, and Eric's brother, Kevin.
Yeah,
And he's still having a very hard time. We all are.
sure.
So,
So, so at that time, there wasn't a small group for people in your situation. I think that's what you had told us.
right.
So tell us how.
Well, during the course
Yeah.
of, after Eric passed away, it's been a few years, and we had Pastor Dan at the time,
Hmm.
and talking to him, he found out that there was a program, complete with a video, Beyond the Broken Heart,
Hmm.
it was an 8-week course that could walk us through.
Hmm.
And we said, boy, that'd be great. I wonder how many people would be interested within the church.
Hmm.
We found out there was a response,
Hmm.
but then of all things, COVID-19 hit. And that pretty much shut everything down.
Hmm.
During the course of that, Pastor Dan transferred out,
Hmm.
and Pastor Paul come in. And Pastor Paul gave me a call, and he goes, Brian, think we can get this going? I said, well, I'd like to if you would. I says,
Hmm.
but I would like to be co-teaching it. I says, I'm not the teacher.
Hmm.
Pastor Dan says, no problem.
Hmm.
And there was, like I say, people within the church that says, boy, if you can get this off the ground, we'd like to attend. And so we've had up towards 8 people.
Hmm.
And we don't understand what has happened to all of us. If you Google it, they'll say situations similar to ours. You just joined a group that you never wanted to belong to,
Yeah,
meaning the loss of your loved one.
sure.
But then within that group, we formed our group in the church. While we don't understand why what has happened to us, all of us, we do understand we have our God, we have our faith. He's here for us. Let's be here for them.
Hmm. Tell us a little bit about like how long it took you to get through the book, and then what happened after you finished the
Well,
study.
it took 8 weeks, and I have a friend over in Boyne City that he's in a similar situation. He lost his wife quite a few years ago, and he says, Brian, whatever you do, when that course runs its course, don't just say that's it.
Hmm.
He says, even if you just go out to lunch, he says, continue to meet.
Hmm.
And so that's what we have done. We used to meet once a week, now we meet once a month.
Hmm.
And I've found that to be so beneficial. We'll go around the table, me being the embassy, and say, what's everybody done in the last month? And everybody can relate. And if you wait long enough, and usually it isn't that long,
Hmm.
they can relate to the loss of their loved one.
Yeah.
And it brings us back together. When we first met, there was a lot of tears, including me.
Hmm.
uh, there's still tears, including me, but there's also laughter. We're doing okay.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I think the powerful thing about what you just told us is that there really wasn't a small group there was a need for a small group, but there wasn't one available.
yes.
And so between conversations, it was created. So maybe people have a thought for something and they find out there's a lot of people that need the same
Yeah.
group.
Well, people within the group have asked me, is it all right if we call so-and-so and ask if it's okay if she attends?
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You bet. And like I say, well, I think it's been good therapy for the group. It's been good therapy for me.
Hmm.
Very good therapy. And maybe that's God's way of talking to me. Because it's, like I say, it's been beneficial.
Yeah. So, you got together after COVID. So, do you remember what month and year that was? Because I'm having a hard time remembering myself.
It's been in the last 12 months.
Okay.
So maybe I'll say 3 months ago, we went to once a month. So there's a few breaks in there one time we didn't meet at all. Everybody had too many things going to themselves, and we says, well, let's just postpone it.
Sure.
But we won't give it up. We found out it's too valuable for us.
So your small group is very flexible to its needs.
Yes,
so
it is.
I think
It
that's
is.
important as well.
And when we meet, well, like last time, for example, the idea was somebody within the group says, everybody, please bring a picture of your loved one.
That's wonderful.
And it was hard, but you're right, Dana. It was
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. So how is belonging to this small group? How do you think this has impacted your walk with Christ? And I know I kind of throwing this out
That's
as a
okay.
curveball, but does anything come to mind?
it's a hard one.
Yeah.
My faith's always been there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been tested a few times, and probably this time was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I have my faith, I have my wife, I have my other son, all through God. And that's living testimony right there. In fact, Kevin, one time, he had a hard time with his belief. And I didn't even remember this story till he said it to me. We were in Canada canoeing along, and I said to Kevin, just out of the blue, I says, how can a person not believe in God when all you have to do is look around you? Fast forward to today, Kevin says to me, he says, Dad, when you said that, he says, I have never, ever forgotten that. He says, thank you for those words. So,
That's just beautiful. Tell us a little bit about you were sharing that your son doesn't have the resource that you have here or have created here. So tell us a little bit about that.
okay, he may have it down there, but he's in Ann Arbor,
Mm-hmm.
very large city. He's in between jobs. He just landed a new job. He's closing on his house the 13th of September.
Oh my gosh.
He's in between girlfriends. And so he's had a lot going.
Sure.
And come fall, he would like to find a group similar to ours, a small group where once he's got all his ducks in a row, so to speak, he can get back on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
He misses his brother dearly. And he wants what his mother and I have up here to lead him back to Christ and understand his loss,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that life moves on.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Brian. I really appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you.
And thank you again.
Thank you very much.